वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
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 जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवारधारी
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 यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना
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 यमुना तीरा वनचारी
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
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 जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चंद्र अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय ऑल ग्लोरियस assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana-shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभुनित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Which slide is this now?
Just
Register.
Good.
This slide chapter, right?
ब्रीफिंग आप सुन 5-10 मिनट जैकेट का काढ़ी ना टीचर वाज नॉट
चैट करता हूँ.
The same people are attending. So do we need to give a 5-10 minutes?
Hare Krishna. Haribol. So thank you for being with us today again here. Dear devotees, dear friends. So we are trying to elicit a discussion how, given the fact that we are diverse people, and when we come together in marriage, coming from different backgrounds, caste, creeds, sometimes cross-cultural, sometimes ethnic backgrounds are different, how the potential differences which come about and the way we think and the way we behave, right, can be a certain source of potential conflict, right? And therefore, we discussed yesterday in some detail how there are we discussed two paradigms. One is what differences surface frequently in a husband-wife relationship. What are things which we usually disagree upon, right? And we saw the list is very, very large, right? And now the list is almost endless, right? But we also wanted to focus on the fact that even though we are different people, there are some commonalities which actually brought us together. And so we discussed what are the commonalities which keep the husband-wife relationship going on, right? So what are the things which we agree upon? And we saw that we agreed upon something very significant. We agreed that we come together in marriage because we wanted to be happy, right? We agreed to the fact that yes, our family life is ultimately an offering at the feet of Sri Krishna. We agreed that we want to have children who will be groomed very well as citizens, human beings, and good devotees of Krishna, right? We agreed upon the fact that the Gita is the book of choice for us to follow, and the Mahamantra is the way to purify our consciousness, right? So we sort of discussed these two things, and we also made one very important point yesterday as to how the human mind works, right? How does the psychology of a mind work? And that is, the mind often tends to intrinsically gravitate towards more differences, right? The mind is by nature oriented to pick up negativity and then through some unknown process magnify it and make it very large, right? And when that happens, the commonalities which kept us together or brought us together seem to become, either forgotten, effaced, or clouded, right? And that leads to consequences when we constantly focus upon the negativities. So we saw a list of many things which can happen. You saw that?
No, it's not connecting.
Okay, no problem. So we saw that, we can start with, some differences can take place that leads to disagreements, that leads to some amount of dislike, that can lead to, a disconnect, and if it goes further, it can go into a distancing of relationship, right? So it goes like this, and then there could be a potential of how people actually walk their own ways by separation of relationship, right? So what began on day one as a very lovely relationship of marriage where everyone was very happy, there was celebration, everyone was in a great mood, there is, festivities going on. So what started off so nicely can actually, as some of you said yesterday, if the focus of negativity becomes strong, it can lead to even a hateful relationship, right? What began as love can turn into hate, right? Because they often say that love and hate are the two sides of the same coin, right? Love and hate are the two sides of the same coin, right? So, more often than not, when things are bitter, people start hating each other resentfully. They become resentful, right? And if allowed to go further for more than a particular amount of time, then mind gets disturbed. There is impact on the family, on your health, on your Krishna conscious sadhana, on the surrounding in the community, right? So the impact is very large, and we also focus to some extent on impact on children, right? When there's bitterness in the family, not only we are affected, but probably the most affected, and we don't even know how much the children get. Their psychology gets damaged, right? And how children who grow up in such a disoriented family or discorded family, they can grow up to become very emotionally very, very labile. They can grow up to become emotionally very imbalanced type of people. So knowingly, unknowingly, when the conflict of husband and wife is erupting frequently in the house, the worst targets are not the husband and wife, the worst targets are our poor, innocent children, right? And they just can't figure out. On one hand, my parents are doing Mangala Arati, they're going to temples, they're chanting Hare Krishna mantra, they're reading the Gita, they're calling devotees at home and having satsang programs, and festivities, and going on yatras, and they're doing so many things they call as spiritual. But the same people, at different times when they get heated up, they start fighting, quarreling, sometimes yelling. Sometimes there is physical abuse, right? And there is, vocal abuse of language. So then they just get completely confused as to what is the real thing, right? What I'm supposed to follow. And that damages sometimes for the entire lifetime, correct? So this is in very brief to bring about some recap on the subject of differences. So today we will be changing the mood. So today we will be having a different hat, and we want to be more positive about it, right? Because we want to learn together, right? How do we really resolve? What type of attitudes should we have whereby we can actually... Yeah. So, as you can see here, if we increase the Krishna factor in life, then there will be better V factor, right? So let's take that up a little bit and see. So first step towards harmonizing relationship in the family is to cut down and bring down the I factor, right? What we see that when a marriage becomes sour, you said this and I felt so bad, I felt this and I felt that, and I felt neglected and I felt cheated, I felt this, I felt that. And then she will say, or he will say, the opposite person say, I felt this and I felt that. So what is used most? I and you, right? You said this and I felt this. And so the I, you thing is used, and that goes on. There is sometimes no solution comes out because everyone sticks to the I factor, right? And the first thing which really helps in a very nice way is that right at the time of marriage, we set a particular type of thought process that we will not allow relationships or our conversations to go on the level of I. We will always think of what is this? The V factor. How does this affect us? So we'll talk always in terms of we and us, right? Our children, not your children, my child. Your money, my money. Your in-laws, my parents, right? So we talk like this and we have a conflict. But if we allow the V factor to come, what is the advantage of the V factor? How does it help in terms of V? we start thinking of the common good. The common good, right? And if something is affecting us negatively, then we resolve that we want to go further on this. So, first thing about is unifying. Husband and wife in Vedic literature, they go to the extent of saying that after marriage, they are supposed to dissolve their false ego to such an extent, right? That they become two bodies but one soul. Therefore, you may have heard a Sanskrit word called as Ardhangini. You heard the word Ardhangini? It may not be very commonly used though these days, but Shastrically, the wife is called as Ardha, half, Angini, body. Anga means body, right? So, in English, sometimes we call it better half, right? Whatever language we use, the concept is that they became one. They become one. So, we were saying that at the time of when the marriage takes place, for the initial few weeks that happen, what happens? They become like that. They're just freshly married, and they're that, that newness is there, and everything is very fresh and looking nice, and you're very cheerful. You go, for honeymoon, and everything is looking very rosy and nice, and you hope and pray that this will go on forever, right? But as we said, this thing doesn't last too long, and eventually when the whitewash clears up and the newness, the glaze, as you call the glaze of the marriage, starts wearing off, and then things start dawning that I'm living with a person who probably is looking different than what I thought was there before marriage. Before marriage, everyone is looking very nice and very lovey-dovey and all that, right?
The infatuation stage.
So that is called as the infatuation stage. Correct? So, we hope and we're allowed to have a relation whereby the infatuation stage would have gone on forever, for a long, long time. But the fact of the matter is, psychologically speaking, it never goes almost beyond a few months. At the most a year. And very rarely about 2 years, they say, psychologists say. 2 years though, I have not seen infatuation lasting for 2 years. Usually, a few weeks, once, things start wearing off. The color starts wearing off, right? So, to keep, and one thing which helps this thing to coming together part, we said, living together, keeps the Ardhangini factor active, is when we see that what is the common purpose of marriage. When devotees marry, it is very clear that yes, they are marrying for some emotional needs, but primarily the goal is to live a life whereby they can serve Krishna together. Yes, the boy can love Sarvanta Krishna single also. The girl can also serve Krishna together. So that is all right. But what happens when they serve together? That's why our parents and our grandparents more so would say that when the marriage is in harmony, boy is one, girl is one, 1 plus 1 equal to?
11.
Is equal to 11. Right? And you will see with observant eyes that when there is a harmony in the family, especially with husband and wife, the net output a couple or a family can give when there's harmonious relationship is so high, right? It's powerful. The impact they can have by their lifestyle, their happiness, their togetherness, their joy of living together, and they exude such positivity, right? So they preach so much, they exude such amount of positivity in the environment, people just looking at them, they say, wow, what a couple, what a family, right? And when they speak with conviction, it has even more impact, right? So, they can do the greatest service, because no time is lost in just what they call as Manalila. Manalila means the husband gets upset, the wife gets upset, and then you have to again, patch it up. No, I didn't mean that. Actually, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry, this, that. So, you go keep on patching up, and you this. So, how much of time is lost, right? How much of heartburn takes place to all that, right? So, therefore, when we keep the Krishna factor alive, do not allow the Krishna factor to die down in your life. Keep it very, very active. Do things together. Some devotees we were there with, in Seattle itself, they were saying that we actually serve together. We come to temple together, right? We do dressing of the Lordship together. They do services together. That togetherness in marriage is consolidated by the fact that they've been served Krishna together. When just imagine, when you go on the altar of the Lord, right, for example, right, or we come into the... So Krishna is watching all of us. Please remember, the Lordship, Radha, Neelamada is watching all of us, right? But if you're sitting in this room, even if you come to serve Him, and the Lord knows that the husband and wife are not getting along, and when they go and perform some service, either a arti or a backup service, something, the Lord is not very happy because He said, my children are not are fighting among themselves. They're coming to serve me, and I'm happy about that, but I wish they were happier. They were happy. I'm happy they're serving me, but they themselves are not very happy because they are having. But when the Lord sees all of us in the temple room who come to perform services to the Lord, could be, food truck seva or, Hari Pizza seva or whatever services we are all performing, right? If He sees that we are performing in such a way that we are united, what will happen to the Lord? What will be His emotion? Huh? It's like when the father sees his children living together happily, the father feels happy. He's our father. In fact, He's our supreme father. Right? So, when husband and wife work together and Krishna sees that, He blesses them with such extra potency that they can do so much for the world at large. Right? So, therefore, Krishna factor is, we wanted to stress about that. And one beautiful thing which happens is that, as I told, our Vaishnava qualities manifest more and more. Because we are serving together, we get purified faster. Ultimately, we are in Krishna to get purified. Now, if we do sadhana alone, with all our struggles and all our strifes and conflicts, right, then our purification process is also delayed and slowed down. But when we serve the Lord together, we get purified much faster. And we get purified more faster, what happens? The Vaishnava qualities of the husband and wife, they manifest. They become more kind, more forgiving, more loving, more affectionate, right? Those traits which are there in the soul, which are hidden, just like the clouds can sometimes cover the sun, those clouds clear up and manifest qualities of the soul start manifesting very beautifully, right? And then we have this example which she will explain about this two things on the slide about the Gulab Jamun, right?
We see in today's world, we are what? The people call it as the I generation. You heard that? Everybody is only self-centered and concerned about what I feel, what I like, what I don't like. Everybody says that right from the child to an adult. Everybody feels, I don't like this, I love this, I hate this. So it's all about I. But Krishna consciousness, what does it teach us? That beautiful example, when we became devotees, we heard this, that when there is a lake and you throw a pebble in the middle of the lake, there is some circles come. And if I throw the pebble on the other side of the lake, again another set of concentric circles will come. I throw in the third place, again concentric circles will come. And what happens? All these circles will clash against each other and it will make the lake very muddy. However, if I put the pebble in one place and I put my second pebble in the same place and the third pebble in the same place, what will happen? All the circles, the ripples will be in the same place. There will be no collision. Do you get that example? Very simple example, we all must have experienced, but very profound. What does that mean? That when I remove myself from the center, it's not about how I feel and I don't feel. It's not only about that. Of course, it's important how I feel. But, it's not about only what I like and I don't like. It's about what we like. So, when we do these Grihastha training programs, the main generic name is what? From I to we. It's the whole journey is from what? From I to we. And it's not very easy. Believe me, one of our devotees' young son got married. Young son means he was marriageable age and he got married. And after that we had invited him for prasad to our house and we were talking to him that, how do you feel after marriage? Newly married people, sometimes everything is alright now. So he was sharing that, Prabhuji, honestly tell you, when I saw that second toothpaste in my bathroom. I was only used to one toothbrush, and now there are two toothbrushes in my bathroom. And I have to make some space in my cupboard for my wife's clothes, So he was the only child and he was used to enjoying everything alone. And now he had to share everything, right? So he said, now I have to share my care. So it took him some time to adjust to this, that everything is two now. I cannot just think about myself. If I'm driving a bike, first I could just drive and go off. But now if I do that and my wife falls off behind and I just keep going, it's not possible, right? I have to think that she's sitting behind. I have to, she shouldn't fall off. So there are major changes that our psychology has to go through. So marriage is not only about we are married and that's it. So people ask, when marriage has to take place. I'm sure when Om got married, people must have shopping done, jewelry bought, clothes bought, invitations have gone, and hall is booked. We're ready for the marriage. But you're not ready for the marriage, you are ready for the wedding. There's a difference between a wedding and a marriage. Wedding is only an event, one day event. But marriage is a journey. So with all those other preparations which we do, are we really prepared to get married? Means what? To go in that transition from I to we. That I have to now accommodate each other. I remember when Dwarkadish Prabhu and myself met for the first time after our marriage was fixed up, and he was asking me how do I feel about it, because we were quite young when we got engaged to each other, and I asked him, how do you feel, Prabhuji? So he told me such a beautiful answer. He said, till now I was only concerned about how I have to go back to Godhead, but now I'm thinking that how we both can go back to Godhead. And I was thinking, my God, I'm not thinking in this way, I'm thinking in a different way. And so it's a responsibility like that. And that's where our depth will count. All of this beautiful example of a Rasgulla and a Gulab Jamun. All of you who have made these two items, we know that both these items are made from, one is made from paneer and one is made from mawa. But both these balls do not taste sweet in themselves unless you soak them in the sugar syrup. And the longer you allow it to soak, the sweeter it tastes, right? If some guest is coming to your house tomorrow, so you don't prepare 1 hour before these items. You prepare it on the previous day so that there is enough time for the syrup to soak in it. That's when the sweetness comes out. So sometimes we remain devotees like only the paneer balls and the mawa balls, We don't soak ourselves in the Krishna consciousness philosophy practically. Just recently we met a couple and the temple president was telling us that they are having a lot of problems between themselves. They know all the philosophy. In fact, they are Bhakti Vriksha leaders, but they don't know how to apply it. Can you help them? Literally, it was like that. Okay? That means what? That we have not soaked ourselves in the philosophy. And when you soak in the philosophy, family life is a chance to practice it. Temple is like a school, but home is like a laboratory. You will get time to do practical things at home, not in the, So we have to understand the difference between these two. So that's why we say that disagreement is not a problem. It's the symptoms of the disagreement which are the problem. Are you understanding? If I disagree on a particular thing, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. Many people do that. Oh, we agree to disagree, and that's fine. Your chemistry and my chemistry doesn't match, but that's not a problem. But usually, we could make it into a problem. And that's where the challenge begins, right? So we have to say that we do not have to hate the differences. It's fine to be different. In fact, being different is good. Have you seen contrast? You see, if the Lord is dark and you put light color dress on him, that looks very beautiful. And if the Lord is light and you put dark color dress on him, it shows out better. You wear a contrast shirt and pant, you wear a black pant and a white shirt. It looks, usually you wear like that, like one light and one dark. If you wear both same color, it doesn't stand out as much. So in fact, contrast is good. There's not a problem in being contrasting. But let's not make an issue out of the contrast. Otherwise, our focus, as we know that our goal of life is to be Krishna conscious. Our goal of life is to serve devotees. Our goal of life is to serve that's what we got married for in the first place, isn't it? We got married for what? Sense gratification is a byproduct. Anyways, all the facilities and perks you get of togetherness, and you get money together and cooking together and all, that's okay. But our main purpose as devotees is to make progress on our journey of life, even materially, even spiritually. Both ways we progress. We see when we are single, we have X in, when we get 2X, right? That way also it's a progress. Many people are very thin before marriage. After marriage, they start putting on weight, Why is that? Because there is more prosperity, there is more happiness. Everything multiplies. So same way our Krishna consciousness also multiplies. And it should multiply. And if these differences are going to make our Krishna consciousness go down, if our services are going to get affected, if our sadhana is going to get affected, if our study of scripture is going to get affected, or coming to the temple is going to get affected, then what did we, net achievement was what? Not much. Right? So we have to understand this simple fact. Prabhuji, you can change. So we'll just tell you 4 beautiful examples, which if you remember, then it might be easy for you to be able to resolve your differences to some extent. Okay, here you see that, and somebody asked Prabhupada, and you say, that what about marriage, how it is, how you have to take it and all. So he said, you do not take differences very seriously. The whole problem comes when we start taking the differences seriously. To some extent, somebody said that to be married and not have misunderstandings or differences is like going into the ocean and not getting wet. And it might be possible that you may go into the ocean and not get wet also, but it's not possible to have no differences and no misunderstandings between you. It's obvious, because we are made differently. The man is different and the woman is different. Their psychology is different. You must have heard about this book. Men are from and women are from Venus. Now, why was that book written? That person was not a devotee or anything. But that is the intrinsic. Differences are intrinsic in nature, right? So, we don't have to take them so seriously. Why? It's not worth it. Worth means what? You just think, we just met a person the other day, like a very flourishing doctor, very well-earning doctor, everything very good. 1 year we met him, and the next year when we met him, he was saying that, I need to speak to you all, And he was telling that how he and his wife were having differences, and the differences started getting so much magnified. All his services in the temple got affected, number 1. Number 2, they had to employ a lawyer. And lawyers, usually they are liars and cheaters. They are not going to give you a solution immediately. They'll keep postponing, giving you dates and trying to say, why don't you try this and why don't you try that? What happened through that? Lot of money was got. He was getting lot of money, right? And nothing to be said about the emotional trauma that the boy and the girl went through. The parents of the boy and the girl went through. The children, what they went through. All these things, you just go down the horror lane. Go down the chamber of horrors and just see, is it worth it? Is it worth it? There was one couple, they had decided to divorce, right? And they went to the lawyer and the marriage counselors. They tried to very much explain them, try to patch it up, this, that, but they just didn't. And they signed the divorce papers, and in India it's like that, I don't know how it is here. 6 months they give you for consent divorce, and then just after 6 months you are supposed to go and sign finally. So a lot of counseling went, but they didn't agree to patch up. But after 6 months when they came together to sign this thing, the husband said, no, I have decided I don't want to go for a divorce. And that marriage counselor was shocked. After all that I told you, you all and explained, you didn't agree at that time. What happened all of a sudden? And the man said, you know what? He's saying, my wife, whatever she is, but the 6 months of separation made me realize that she was an excellent cook. And I'm going to miss the food which she made, So I decided it's not worth it. Right? He thought, he contemplated, and he actually realized. Today, it's very easy to say, I am earning money, I am not dependent on you. I am earning money, I have my income, you have your income, I can stay alone, I don't need. That is the type of illusion that sometimes we get into. But as we said, is it worth it? Just think about all this. Even materially there is loss, and spiritually there is loss. You're not able to chant your rounds properly. Forget coming for services. He stopped going to the temple out of embarrassment that people will ask me, what happened, why it happened, how it happened. So many complications were taking place. So the main thing is that let there be differences, no problem. Just don't take the differences seriously. And there are 4 examples which we would like to discuss about. The first one, you can see how many of you all have had experience while eating prasad, you have bit your own tongue while eating? Universal. Most people put up their hands, right? You are eating and, oh God, so suddenly you go through excruciating pain. And it's painful experience, right? It pains. What do you do when it pains? Do you box your teeth? Nonsense teeth. You bit the tongue. Do you do that? Why? Why you don't do that? Yes, it hurts more. And why else not? My tongue and my teeth. It's not somebody else's teeth and my tongue. Or it's not like my teeth and somebody else's tongue. My teeth and my tongue. Whom to blame? So when we understand this concept from I to we, that my wife, my husband, it's okay if somebody has done something. To have differences and fights is not abnormal. But the test is what? How fast you are able to resolve it. What is the incubation period, or what do you call it? Turnaround period. How fast you are able to bounce back. So somebody had sent me a message that a relationship is strong when today's argument doesn't stop my communication tomorrow. My today's argument doesn't stop my communication tomorrow, then my relationship is very strong. It's again like your relationship with God. When I have a relationship with Krishna, some difficulty comes in my life. But that today's difficulty doesn't stop my faith tomorrow. Right? These are all the tests of a strong relationship which you have. So if we remember this, that when a tongue is bitten by a teeth, we don't take it very seriously. You continue eating, na? You don't stop eating. My tongue is bit, let me just stop eating. You don't stop eating. You continue eating, right? So life goes on. We don't take it very seriously. It's not that next time I'm going to eat, I'll think, oh God, that experience came, went. It will come again also. But no problem, I'll continue, right? So beautiful example, you'll remember, you might forget the whole lecture. But every time you'll bite your teeth and your tongue, you'll remember this analogy, okay? Second analogy is that of 2 goats. Do you see? If you have been to a village and you see many times goats are moving around and they have horns. And some argument, due to some reason, suddenly they will lock horns. And they will go like this, and they'll go like that. And they are poking their horns into each other and locking their horns and gruntling and, whatever sounds they are making. And people who are around will think, oh God, they will just kill each other. They will kill each other. But if somebody comes and says, hut, 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 that goat goes on that way and this goat goes, who's bothered, what? Somebody came and did hut, 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 and it's over. It's finished. Right? Nothing further about it. So do the goats take it seriously? It's like in Mumbai now, we have local trains. And we have the train comes from Virar to Borivali, and then you have to change the train and go from Borivali to Churchgate, X station to X station. So sometimes if you are in the train from Virar to Borivali and you have an argument with somebody in the train, you have a fight, big fight, and then you have to change the train from Borivali to Churchgate to another train. Now, will you go into the next train and continue that fight afterwards? Because that person is, where that person is, you don't even know. But you say, I'll show you. Come in that train. I'll show you. I'll show you. Arey, his road is different. My road is different. Do we take it seriously? No. But there are some people who just keep fighting till church gate. So many times there are fights and arguments between husband and wife. And they keep on fighting. They keep on fighting. Sometimes there is curfew in the house. Children even come home and they can see that there is curfew going on. And they don't know what happened, obviously, but they can feel the pressure, they can feel the tension in the house. And this can go on for 1 day, 2 days, can go on for a long time. So, not to take it too seriously, like the goat. Third example given is of clouds thundering in the summer. When clouds thunder in the summer, nobody takes out, American climate is very unpredictable, I'm talking of Indian climate. You don't take out umbrellas and raincoats and all. It's just thundering, it's not going to rain. But if the same thing happens in monsoon, obviously you take out immediately. So means what? That in summer, even if there is thundering, you don't take it seriously. Right? So in that same way, if there is some thundering, some angry words exchanged, some upsetness going on, we don't take it very seriously. It's okay, It's not worth it, fighting. And the fourth example is of two lawyers. Suppose if we both are fighting for two people, and in the court we are fighting, my lord, my client, this has to be like this and this has to be like that. If I'm arguing, we both will argue out in front of the court, trying to defend our, clients. And after the court is adjourned, we'll say, come on, yaar, let's go and have a cup of coffee, Nice fight, we had. Doesn't concern us, Right? It doesn't have to affect our relationship. So many times you see that there are fights in the husband and wife for third people, for outside reasons. Some friend said something, some relative said something, and you, tooth and nail, you are fighting. But let your relationship not get affected because of somebody else, even if that might be parents. Even if it might be parents, we respect parents, we love parents, but maybe because of different type of nature of parents, sometimes the outside interference in the husband and wife could become a major cause of a fight in a family, right? So these four beautiful examples which are there, which make us understand that we do not have to take our differences very seriously, because man many times thinks from the head and the woman thinks from the heart. Why? Because God made them like that. Imagine if both thought only from the head, or if both thought only from the heart, then what would happen? Very difficult, right? So that is why God made this difference. He made this contrast of a black shirt, white shirt and black pant. Right? Why? So that they can complement each other. Husband-wife relationship is what? Complementary relationship. What I lack, you have. What you lack, I have. And together we can make a great unit. Ultimately you have to see that how you are as a unit. So please, we have to remember these examples, that together we make a great combination. We cover up each other, Something is there, a man doesn't understand this. Okay, the wife is there and the wife may, is a very sentimental person. Okay, fine. The husband understands and patches up for that. So please understand that we have to think ourselves as a unit, not as an individual. Many times we will go and say, okay, he's like that and she's like that. If somebody has to go to the marriage counselor, have you ever heard somebody go to the counselor and say, sir, we need help because I am the problem? Anybody says that, everybody will say, I am trying my best, but he only doesn't understand. He will say, oh come on, you never adjust and you are never like this, because you will never see your own fault. We will always feel that fault is in the opposite person. Prabhu, you can change the slide. So in case whenever which is possible we have conflicts, so we have some tips which are based on psychologically proven techniques of how to resolve conflicts. Why we are talking of this? Because even after all that we have said, don't take it seriously, don't do this, it is still going to happen. Agree? It's not that overnight it's going to change. Okay, wow, we heard a seminar, everything is going to change. Because usually whenever there is a seminar on family life, we always know that people will tell, husband will tell the wife, come, let's go for the seminar. And in the mind he is thinking, if she hears properly, na, she will change. And the wife will think the same about the husband, that, oh, chalo, kuch sunenge to, some brains he will get and he will change. But we don't go thinking, what is in it for me? How I will be able to change? How it will help me to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Okay, so here we are going to put ourselves as the targets. What can I do from my part, not what my partner can do. What I can do to contribute to be part of the solution or be part of the problem. So the first most important thing is that be realistic. Expect misunderstanding. You don't get married thinking that what you see in movies that they lived happily ever after. Doesn't happen like that. You get married, there will be issues, there will be problems, and we have to understand the tools how we want to what? How we will resolve it. So let us be realistic and expect misunderstanding. I remember one couple was getting married and one sannyasi was giving a talk and he said, that there will be misunderstandings. And it was a love marriage and they thought, really there will be misunderstandings? I thought everything will be fine because we love each other. But it's not a bed of roses. Sometimes you think, that, I got married thinking it will be like a great walk in the park. But after marrying, I am realizing that it is a park, but it's a Jurassic Park, I'm thinking, oh my God, this issue and that issue and so many things are happening. Yeah, no doubt. We know it will happen. We should not live in a utopian false thing and nobody should even tell each other, hey, come on, yaar, get married. Everything is fine and rosy. No. There will be. So number one is when you expect something, you are not shocked by it. Hey, how come this happened, I never thought it would happen. No, I am expecting it will happen. So then I am not very much shocked with it. They say, sometimes in this world, whatever happens, don't be surprised. Anything can happen. Any mishaps can happen. You are ready for it. So once you expect misunderstanding, you might at least be able to work in that direction. But if I am not expecting only, then I will be taken by a shock and I will break down at that first step only. Next point which they say is, Matbhed is okay, but don't have manabhed. Mat means what? Opinion. Mat means opinion. And man means what? Mind and heart. So difference of opinion is fine, but let that not cause heart pain. As I said in the beginning, we agree to disagree. Happily. I know that he is not going to agree to this, I can openly say like that. Any relationship, we should be able to openly say that, we know, not necessary that we have to agree, but that's not going to threaten our relationship. So please understand that just having a difference of opinion, you could fight tooth and nail, but next moment you are back to normal, because as we said again, that was in the courtroom. Now we are out of the courtroom. Why pull it so much? Not worth it. So don't be surprised with difference of opinions, but let that not cause pain in the heart and hurt. Because who can pain the husband and wife more than the husband and wife? I know the weakest point of the husband and he knows my weakest point. And who can hit on that? When I want to hit and take revenge, I'll press that point only, that nerve. That other people don't know that. And similarly, who knows how to please each other than we? What pleases the opposite person? We know that also and we know this also. So it depends on us which side we want to rub. All of us have the good side and the bad side. So it is in our hands which side we want to rub. Do you want to bring out the good side or you want to bring out the bad side? One girl was sharing that she was a very nice girl, but she started getting angry and all. She was saying, my husband didn't bring out the Radha side of me, she brought out the Durga side of me. He brought out the Durga side of me, But that side has come out. What to do, I don't want to behave like that, but I'm forced to behave like this. So it depends on the partner how you will be able to bring out that good part or the bad part in each other. Right? Third point is avoid fermentation. We know fermentation? We make idli dosa. You keep the batter out. Little bit of fermentation, okay. But if it gets over fermented, what happens? Stinks. It stinks, right? So, when we met after marriage, the first thing he told me, one of the first things he told me is that whenever we will have a disagreement, realistically he said, whenever we will have a disagreement, we will not sleep without resolving it that night only. Let's not carry forward. Because what happens? When you carry it forward, does it become easier to resolve it or more difficult? More difficult. If I couldn't resolve it yesterday, what makes me feel I can resolve it today? And if today I can't, what makes me feel after 15 days I'll be able to resolve? And I'll tell you a beautiful example of this. Example is of Ravan. When Ravan kidnapped Sita, everybody told him, don't kidnap, leave her alone. You have so many ladies in your harem. Forget it. But he didn't want to give up. He kidnapped Sita and brought her to his place. Then Hanuman came. He flew across the ocean and he came. And after he spoke to Sita, we know how he tried to destroy the Ashok Vatika. And the first son of Ravan came, Akshay Kumar, and he was killed. And the news went to Ravan and they said, oh my God, we thought the enemy is very weak. But it's a strong enemy, I think you should give up Sita. Some ministers advised. And Ravan said, no, how can I do that? Now, now I cannot give up. All the more I will not give up. Then the Ram came, he built the bridge and all the monkey army came and they had a beautiful big fight. And one by one everybody was getting killed. Nikumba was killed. Again Ravan was told that give up, don't fight. Give away Sita. And he said, no, not now. Then he lost Kumbhakaran. And they said, your brother is also lost here, give it up. He said, no. Now to not at all. And then Indrajit was lost, his dearmost son, his last big warrior. And everybody said, just see, everything is finished. Now give up Sita. He said, what's the use of giving her up now? All the more I will not give. But at first point also you are not ready to give. Now also you are not ready to give it up. The more the time went, more it became impossible for Ravan to give up Sita. It didn't become easier that, okay, this loss is done. So same way when our relationship gets affected, certain damages start happening in our family life. Just see, our sadhana is affected. So, no, I don't want to give it up. Then you think further, children are getting affected. No, I don't want to give it up. This thing is happening. No, I don't want to give it. Then the ego starts becoming stronger and stronger. The ego says, now why should I give it up? So it becomes more difficult as time goes. So try to understand that if you have a disagreement, try to resolve it as soon as possible. Otherwise your relationship will start stinking. It will start stinking. Don't give a lot of time. Don't let it ferment. Okay? So avoid fermentation. Next point. However hard it is to swallow, however difficult it is to believe, however impossible a pill to digest, but look into the mirror and ask yourself, I could also be wrong. Possible? Possible that I could also be wrong? It's not always that, I am always right. Because where there is love, it's not about right or wrong. You are wrong and I am right. No. You are right and I am also right. You are wrong and I am also wrong. Is it possible that both could be right sometimes? Possible? Think about that possibility. Both could be right. Then what's the point of highlighting the differences so much? And especially when you realize that maybe I could be wrong, then automatically you get humbled within. Our ego gets humbled. That, oh yeah, I could also be wrong, Let me be bold enough to accept that. Right? Only a weak person will try to hide from reality, that no, I am not wrong, But a strong person can accept, okay, I am wrong, I am sorry. To say sorry is not, bad. When you say sorry, what does it mean? It's not that you are wrong, but you care for the relationship. Sometimes people feel hesitant to say sorry, that if I say sorry, the opposite partner will say, see, you are wrong, na? So say sorry, you said sorry, na? I knew it, you are wrong. No, but that's not the way to think. To think, my God, that person is so strong, he or she could say sorry. I'm not even able to say sorry. Even though somewhere within our heart, behind our mind, we all know where we are wrong. No matter you may justify to your partner, to the whole world, you can justify. But from within we can understand we are wrong. It's only our ego which doesn't allow. So we have to be realistic and think that I could also be wrong. The next is respect mutual differences. We were talking of respect the other day. What is respect? Who does not like respect? Anybody like that? In India we have maids, na? Even maids you have to respect them, otherwise they'll leave you and go away. Right? Children have to be respected, otherwise they rebel. So what to talk of partners? We are equals. It's not that, woman is down and man is up, or, man is like that and woman is... No, we are equals. Then why should there not be respect for both the parties? And what do you respect? Number one, you respect each other's opinion. Number two, you respect each other's differences. We cannot take unilateral decisions in married life. That means what? That I don't respect the opinion of the opposite person. I don't care what you feel. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift to India. I don't care what you feel. Or I'm not going to shift to India. I don't care what you feel. But major decisions, it's not like about eating this strawberry flavored candy or blackberry flavored candy. That's a too small a thing to involve that, okay, let's have a meeting. We have a major decision to make. We should have pani puri today or pav bhaji today, That's okay. But where major decisions of shifting homes, child's education, which college to put and all, where to put finances, these are major decisions. So when you respect each other's opinion, everybody feels valued. What does respect do? It makes you feel valued. And who doesn't like to feel valued today? When you just do hard to, your partner, they feel so belittled in public or in private or in whatever. But when you make somebody feel valued, isn't that what all these Rotary Club and Lions Club and all keep doing? Smallest thing you will do and they will say, oh, very good, very good. They will pat your back and they will make you feel good. What does that make you do? Make you do more. Make you do more, If somebody appreciates what you are doing, if you tell the wife, this is very nice, very nice Prasad. So she'll feel like making more tastier food. But if you are always saying, today salt is not there, you didn't make like my mother used to make, you are like this, she'll say, whatever I do, he's not going to be happy, forget, I don't want to do only. So when you respect each other's opinions and you respect the differences, that fine, she's like this, it's okay. Till I don't know, it is okay, I feel disturbed. Or he's like that, it's okay, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean what, he's just circumstantially he's behaving like that. I know he loves me, he doesn't mean it, right? Then what happens? The conflict doesn't get highlighted in our mind. We respect our differences. Okay, in this situation I know how he will behave, I know how she will behave, so I don't have to take it very, very seriously. And after doing all of this, if we are still not able to resolve our conflicts, we are always fortunate to have our seniors. In olden days, joint families were very favorable. Why? Because the parents were there as shelter. The parents could guide, the grandparents used to be there to be able to buffer it out. Right? If I am alone, we can fight out. But if parents are there, then no matter how much I am bubbling, little bit out of shame or little bit I will just hold myself. Maybe I'll fight little later, I will feel, I'll go home, I will go inside the room and fight. And that gives me some time and it might buffer and it might get less. Isn't it? So it gives us time, and don't feel hesitant to take help. Many times one partner wants to take help and the other one will say, hey, shh, ghar ki baat ghar mein. House things should not go out, How can you tell the whole world what is going on? Dare you go and tell? That could become the point of fight. Right? But if we are genuine and we feel that we tried all these 6 things to do and we couldn't resolve it amongst ourselves, it's best to resolve it amongst ourselves. But we are so fortunate that we have seniors, we have adults Whether they are our parents, whether they are senior devotees in the congregation, take help. Don't think it is very low to take help. When I have to save something important, I have to take help, right? If there is fire in my house, I cannot just sing help, help, help. Who will hear it? I will say, help, help. So somebody will hear and somebody will come and help me out. So if there is fire in my relationship happening, after all I have tried, techniques, skills, whatever. If I can't, please do take help. It is not demeaning to do that. You get these 6 points? Please remember these.
Yeah, that was
Prabhuji, next slide.
pretty much the essence of what we wanted to speak about. Those 6 things which you mentioned. They are not necessarily techniques, so let's not think they are techniques, right? But they are based on a natural flow of understanding of how, as I said yesterday, that the main driving force to make a resolution in relationship is the conviction that I want my marriage to work, right? And unfortunately, some things have erupted which are threatening the relationship, creating a conflict. But I'm not going to get discouraged. As we said, expect that to happen. If you're going in a COVID-infected area, as a doctor, when we were going to COVID, we were treating patients in the wards, we were prepared that we could be getting COVID also. But did it stop us from doing our duty to the patients? Answer is no. Right? When the firemen go to extinguish the fire, then they know that they can also get affected. But therefore, they take precautions, but they can also get caught up in the fire. So many of us know things are going to happen. You expect. So therefore, when we expect things to happen, and yet he said, okay, no matter what happens, I will do ena kena prakarena. I want my marriage to be a happy one. So do not shy away. Be prepared. Ups and downs. It's like we are in the car. We are driving a car. As she said that the wedding is a event, and marriage is a journey, right? So it's like a journey. So the word, when we say the word journey, what comes to mind is the word vivaha. You heard the word vivaha before, right? We say vivaha. So what is the meaning of the word vivaha? Marriage is also called as vivaha in Sanskrit language. Vivaha means Vishesha Vahan. Vivaha stands for Vishesha Vahan, right? And that's what the journey means, that the husband and wife sit in the ashram. They are into that Gras ashram. It's like a vehicle provided to them. Gras ashram is like a vehicle which is supposed to take us and the entire family towards the higher realms, towards Krishna consciousness, right? So if you are driving a car, which is the Vahan which God has given you, supposed to be wearing if you get speed breakers, do you just stop the journey? If you have bad weather and it starts pouring cats and dogs, right? You're not expecting it to happen, but somehow it starts raining. You will say, you abandon the journey. You do something, either you take a halt, stay overnight in a hotel, or start a wipers, or do something, and you let the journey go on, right? So similarly on marriage, there will be speed breakers, there will be rains, there will be potholes, toll taxes to pay, there could be something, a flat tire. When a flat tire takes place, what do? You throw away the car? No, you repair the car. Say, Baba, it's costing 40,000 in a Tesla car. It's very costly, right? So you just get the thing repaired and go on. So we never abandon. Then why do we abandon relationships so soon? Right? Why do we make relationships so shallow and superficial to think that this is dispensable? So, as we say that in this material world, in the modern civilization, we're supposed to love people and use things, but unfortunately what has happened is we are now loving things and using people. So we love our mobile, we love our cars, we love our homes, but we don't have the art of loving people, right? So Mother Teresa said something so beautiful, right? If you cannot love the people around you whom you can see, feel and love, how can you surrender and love a God whom you don't see, feel and love? right? Now coming from the mouth of a very advanced, noble soul like Teresa, it definitely sounds a strong alarm in our mind that when we talk of love of God, when we talk of Krishna Prem, right? Krishna consciousness, we talk of Krishna Prem. That's the subject of our discussion most of the time. Love of God, back to Godhead, right? Nitya Siddhya Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy Shravananda Shuddha Jita Karaya Udoy. We keep chanting these verses, right? The basic training goes on this. Now, how can we even talk about Krishna Prem when we are not able to love our own partners with genuine affection? Right? The sad part of the story is, with all our philosophy at our disposal, why we are not able to find means to make two difference of opinion bearing people come together and live in harmony? All our knowledge of so much Bhagavatam classes, festival classes, Bhakti Shastris, Bhakti Vaibhavs, right? People do, as you were saying, we had a person who was a Bhakti Shastri leader who was teaching Bhakti Shastri, and he had extremely difficult marriage conflict, right? And we were involved in trying to help the whole thing, right? The point is that with so much of philosophy, we can't make two people live together happily. There is something seriously wrong in our application of knowledge, right? So, if we remain on the level of jnana, then none of this will actually help our marriage. We have to make jnana into vigyan, right? So, temple, we learn it. At home, we live it. I'll repeat. At temple, we learn it. At home, we live it. If we are not living that at home, we have not learned anything. We have not learned anything, right? So therefore, our homes are so important. Homes are a playground for us to actually practice the principles of bhakti to make the whole life, the whole family very, very happy, right? So, to discuss a few things about this particular slide which we have made, so I'm going to ask you to do some sort of simple mental exercise now. Just close your eyes for a second, right? And in your mind, you make a taraju. Taraju means a scale, a weighing machine, right? Everyone knows what is a weighing machine. On the left side of the weighing machine, you put all your differences which are potential sources of conflict, right? Which you've been fighting about, cribbing about, disagreeing about, put on the left side, which is making you feel very unhappy. On the right side, put the things we agree on the path of Krishna consciousness. This we have discussed yesterday in great detail, right? For example, we mentioned that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The Mahamantra is the way back to Godhead. Gita is the scripture to follow. Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee and is going to take the entire world to Vaikuntha. So all our points of agreement you put on the right side. Okay? So now open your eyes. Which one was more heavy? Left was heavy or right was heavy? Huh? Yeah. If the right is heavy, you are in good consciousness. That means your conflict. But somebody who is going to active problems at that time and is suffering from the disease, he will say, Prabhuji, to be very honest, left is bhari. Right? Now, we're going to compare this left and right weighing thing to something more which we do on a regular basis, right? So, the disagreements which we have, however numerous they may be, they are like potatoes. What is the rate of potatoes in America? 1 kilo of potatoes. $2, right? Is it right? Everyone agrees? $2, right? So, you put 10 kilos or a 50 kilos on the left side, and the right side you put only 1 kilo of gold, which is heavier now? The left is heavier, right? We are putting 50 kilos of. Will it be balanced by 1 kilo of gold? No, it won't be balanced. But which is more valuable? What is the value of 1 kilo of gold? Anybody bought gold recently? Any gold jewelry purchased by somebody? It's a little out of fashion now. Nobody buys gold jewelry nowadays, right? But it's something like 50,000 for 10 grams, right? Huh? 50,000 for 10 grams. 50,000 for 10 grams multiplied by 10 is 100 grams. Multiplied by 10 is 1 kilo. So how much is that? How much is that? 50,000 multiplied by 100 is how much? 50 lakhs. So 50 lakhs on the right side and then 50 kilos of potatoes on the left side. Right? This is more bhari. What is more valuable? The right side, the gold part. Right? So to have a marriage, how many people are there in the world? How rare actually is devotee marriage? Is it not? There are so many marriages taking place every day. Hundreds of marriages taking place. But two people who agree on this solid agreements about Krishna, Guru, Prabhupada, Gita, Mahamantra, this lifestyle of Vaishnava lifestyle, two people who agree on this lifestyle, how many people are in the world who actually agree on, who believe this is the right way to go in life? It's a very small number, right? How many ISKCON devotees are there percentage wise as compared to the entire population of the world? 7 billion people in the world. How many people agree on this lifestyle? Very few. And we know we have the highest path. Not out of fanaticism, but we really know that this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, the highest thing. And two people who believe this philosophy, if they come together in marriage, how very rare is even that? As it is, we are a rarity, a big minority. Within that big minority, if a good boy and a good girl come together and said, yes, we want to live a life of devotional, make a devotional career together, how very rare is that? So how very important is that compared to all the conflicts which we may go through potentially? Right? So when we look at it in that light, we will understand, as we've been saying again and again, to not allow the mind to cheat us. The biggest cheater is not your husband and wife who's having a conflict. The problem is not with the husband or with the wife. Problem is where? The problem is in our own mind, which is making a huge mountain of a small mole. We mentioned about the tongue biting issue and everything else, right? Making a small thing which you can easily let go, chhod do, making a big thing out of it. Correct? Why? Because when the mind gets attached to the false ego, bigger the false ego, the more difficult the problem it is, right? So if the false ego is small, problem remains small. The false ego is big, then problem becomes very, very big. So where is the problem? In the issue or in the ego? Ego. So let's understand this. The issue is never a problem. However big the issue may be, the issue is never a problem. It is how I react to that issue using my false ego in my mind which makes it a problem or a non-problem. So the ball is in our court, not in her court or his court. Ball is in my court. And therefore we say again and again, let us be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Correct? So now we can see how we are turning the tables around now. The issue is not important. The person is not important. But my reaction to it is more important. Are we understanding? Right? That means if I am more Krishna conscious, if I am rooted in the philosophy properly, like the Rasgulla sitting in the chastani for a long time, if I am Krishna conscious, then I can easily see through this whole thing and I can resolve it much more easily. But I am not truly Krishna conscious, I am just more ego conscious. Right? Then no matter what I do, problem can never get resolved. It will keep on fermenting. And there are couples I know who don't talk to each other. They are living in the same house. They have a child, this and that. They are working in some place. But for 6 months, for 1 year, they haven't spoken. Except bare necessities. When are you coming home? 8 o'clock. Should I keep dinner for you? No. Finish. Bare necessities. Where is the car? Gone for repair. Finish. They don't talk more than monosyllables. Right? For 1 full year. And they are pakka devotees. Apparently. Right? So, when it gets fermented to such a level, and then becomes, you become conditioned to the whole thing. Then what the mind says, the mind gives a very powerful dialogue from inside. What is that? You know what the mind says in Hindi? Kya farak padta hai? Mind will say what? Kya farak padta hai? How does it matter? Whether he speaks to me or not. You start learning to adjust life without the love and care of your partner. You start loving a life on your own. You don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of a divorce, but you say, kya farak padta hai? He doesn't care for me, I don't care for him. How sad that two wonderful personalities can go on like this for a long time. So these are not infrequent stories. They are very frequent stories. And they keep happening in our society, even though it is never spoken about, never discussed, right? Never brought out in the open. We cover it up, right? And therefore, there is a very important, you can say the word mantra. There is a simple but powerful mantra which will help us really resolve these conflicts and these differences very nicely. So, how many would like to know this mantra? We already have one powerful mantra, but when that doesn't work out, some doesn't seem to work, right? We all chanting Mahamantra. But it's for chanting Mahamantra 16 rounds, sometimes 64 rounds, some of us are doing 128 rounds, but the problems are not getting solved. So we have to take help of some other mantra sometimes, right? So we'll teach you a much simpler mantra, which devotees have said, Prabhuji, this works. This works.
Maybe you can chant 1 round of this mantra daily.
This works. Those who have actually seriously accepted this mantra, I said, Prabhuji, we have used it, it works. It really depends on how much conviction you use this mantra. Everything depends on the conviction we have in this mantra. So, we won't have a Diksha ceremony here, but we'll reveal it right in the open. And so please look at this mantra and see how it works out, right? So let's have the slide. The slide is already there. The mantra is, just let go. Just let go, right? You can see the other things over there, that let go is like, what are we talking about let go? The person? So don't misunderstand the slide. Let go the person. Usko jaane ka jaane do. So I hope we don't misconstrue. No, we never meant that. Let go the relationship. Let jaane do. Right? We're not talking about let go the relationship, let go the person. Let go the conflict. Let go my egoistic attachment to my own opinion about that issue. Right? It is just not worth it. Right? The consequences are so gory, so painful. Imagine a child being raised by one parent for the rest of his life. Imagine millions and millions of rupees you will spend on lawsuits for getting the thing worked out. It's not worth it. Imagine what happens to a Krishna consciousness. It's finished. We may think that I can practice Krishna consciousness without my partner also. Maya can convince us to such an extent that I don't need my partner to practice Krishna consciousness. Right? But what will be the state of your mind? Will you be happy chanting Hare Krishna? So we have two choices. You can practice Krishna consciousness in happy state of consciousness or unhappy state of consciousness. If your family life is in harmony, you can practice Krishna consciousness very happily. But if you are practicing without the partners, you are practicing Krishna consciousness very, very unhappy for the rest of your life. Unhappy. Right? So, let us begin to see now a close link between bhakti and ashram life. Let us begin to see that. We have probably misconstrued bhakti as totally independent of everything in the world. I mean, it is shocking sometimes that there can be people who've been involved in serious extramarital affairs and still chanting Hare Krishna mantra, thinking that nothing is so wrong. I mean, they look like very sincere, nice devotees, very gentle, very humble, but they're having some serious, deviant behaviors. Right? So, let us stop all this hypocritical type of behavior, right? And become genuine devotees. That means we see a combination between ashram and bhakti. Without the proper ashram, bhakti will be seriously affected. Without proper patra, you can't hold the bhakti in the patra. Right? Without the proper car, you can't have a great journey. Your great, wonderful car is your ashram. A great car will take you a long distance to your goal. So you cannot neglect your car. If you like to have a great journey, take care of your car. Don't we take care of our cars nicely, periodically? So many things we do about our car for maintenance. So this journey requires that we maintain our relationship properly. Because it is the car which takes us to the kingdom of God. Right? So let us see a good combination. And therefore, in bhakti, if we can just learn few virtues, sufficient time to each other. Spend some time where you can have a free flow relationship. We find time for chanting, we find time for bathing, we find time for working, we find time for exercising. Let's find some time where we have some good family time. Let's not neglect that. Where we connect, not just spiritually, but more importantly, emotionally. At the end of the day, we are more emotional people than spiritual people. We may become spiritually advanced afterwards, but right now we are more emotional people. Right? So when you spend family time, you get emotionally connected. Number one. Number two, let us learn to show more affection to each other. Right? It's called sneha. It's a beautiful word. Sneha. So learn to show more kindness and affection to each other. That's wonderful. Third, let us show more respect to each other. Correct? Right? There's some simple things. And last but not the least, appreciate each other. If we keep this as foundation, no matter what the difference is, if there is respect, appreciation, and affection, no matter what the differences may be, if these three things are in the foundation, all differences will be dissolved so easily. Is it not true? No matter what the differences are, if there is basically these three things are there in the recipe of your relationship, the problems can be solved very, very easily. And with these things in mind, it is very easy to have this attitude. Because there is love, there is affection, there is respect, there is appreciation. When the conflicts comes, very easy to say, chalo, let go. Right? So with this we end our discussion today. Thank you very much for your very, very patient hearing. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so it's 9, but we can still take a few questions if there are.
One or two.
Yes. First, let us learn to become good grihastha. And I think that question is relevant, but at the same time, we are so poor as a society, not as, I'm not talking individually, it is a society, we are so still distant in terms of practicing this in a very healthy way. Because it is, though there are 25, 50, 75, 100, like that is written, right? 25 brahmachari, 50 grihasthas, 100%. Even though that sort of guideline grossly is given, if we practice grihastha life properly, the way Prabhupada wanted us to practice, organically within your heart, you will develop a spirit of mature detachment. Where it is not to start hating your wife or disliking your wife because now you're detached, right? But you will actually become more and more united in your connection to serve Krishna together. That means the relationship will no longer have sense gratificatory components to any major degree, but it will be totally united to serve Krishna. That means you live for the rest of your life with only single purpose, and that's to honor the life. Right? That you minimize sense gratification and serve Krishna together. But that happens only when you live those 25 years of grihastha life properly. Anybody else like to ask anything? Make some comments. Yeah. So yeah, we touched that a little bit in today's discussion. That there is, we will approach it and just give you two sides to this explanation. One is what we call, not we when I say we, not we, but what is called in psychology as the primary bond and the secondary bond. Right? So after marriage, when boy and girl marry, husband and wife, become husband and wife, that becomes like what we call as a primary bond. Right? And the bond we have with our parents or a sister or brother, brother-in-law, all those things are called as now secondary bonds. So, what can happen, does happen many a times, is that when those people who are in the outer circle, this is the inner circle, the immediate bonding, when they start impinging upon and interfering with the primary bond, when the boy is too attached to the parents, the girl is too attached to her parents, right? And the conflict takes place at that level, right? Then that the husband and wife are doing very well themselves. They are united. They are in harmony and synchrony. But because of the extrinsic influences and forces, their relationship becomes sour. So, what we have seen, and this is the second part of the answer, that when the primary bond is strengthened, that even though there is a potential source of disturbance from outside, from parent side or from sister side, brother side, etc., if they two are strongly bonded, then they both devise a strategy how to deal with that. Right? They can understand from discrimination that yes, here is we are doing very well, but it is because of her and him that this is getting affected. So how do we tackle this now together? So this becomes a discussion point of bilateral discussion. And we have seen that when the bond is very good and mature, they open up a topic themselves. What do we do? My mother is like this. And my mother keeps on saying this about us. My father is like this. Keeps saying that. So they talk about it together, about the father and mother, because they are now on the level of we. If the level of I, do think of my father, your father. I'm not on the level of we. So they are opening even such sensitive subjects out on the table for discussion. And they come up with a common strategy, how to deal with this now. Right? So dealing with in-laws issues is a complex issue. It's very complex. As you said, those influences are multi-pronged. But it will work nicely if this primary bond is strengthened. Yeah? And if this is not strengthened, then we also seen that they can see that they are not doing well, and they may take advantage of that to even further sometimes create more harm. This is also not uncommon, right? Because it becomes a case of a rivalry of love, right? The mother-in-law starts feeling that her son is being lost. I lost my son, but this girl has come now, right? So it's a case of love rivalry.
Yeah, 9:15.
19. So we'll end over here. Thank you all very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, before we express our gratitude and thank both of them, most of you know about Prabhuji and Mataji, but just a quick introduction. Dwarkadish Prabhu, His Grace Dwarkadish Prabhu is doctor by profession. He is the head of the department. He is one of the founding member, trustee of the Bhaktivedanta Research Center in Mumbai. And Mataji very well supports Prabhuji. Both have been the Grahastha counselors for more than 2 decades. I think they might have counseled hundreds of Grahasthas and family. So they are in this very daunting task in terms of what is ignored in our society. As a society, we are more than 90% is consist of Grahasthas. So they have this task which they primarily used to focus in Asia and in India and other countries, but for the past few years they have been traveling extensively in US by their authority to that Grahastha ashram is one of the ashrams where we need very heavy focus. As Prabhuji mentioned, Bhakti and ashram is very closely related, and they are on a very tight schedule in the US trip, because being a doctor he cannot be far away from the job, and you know what's in the current pandemic. So but still Prabhuji was able to make some time for us. So let's express our gratitude and thank both Prabhuji and Mataji by loudly chanting Hari Bol from the core of our heart as an expression of our gratitude, so that they were able to give some time for all of us. Chant 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji. Please, next time, make sure that you have some more time for us to spend, and there are many Grahasthas who really want to seek some time and guidance from you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.